Larry and I are working outside. We are taking down some structures that we put up last year for tomatoes. We're taking up some of the structure that overwintered some of the plants that we have in our garden. That pile of soil that you see there that Larry is bringing to the front yard is about 27 years worth of composted material from beside our garage. And we have a peach tree that just sprouted up about 6 years ago that we're going to move so that we can do some work on our garage. So this is a garden that we planted last year. It currently has garlic planted. That's the oniony kind of plants that you see right there. Those little plants there are about 3 different kinds or varieties of radishes. And then these little seedlings are spinach. Those just got transplanted last weekend. And then we have kale. There's about 10 kale plants, maybe 14. And little tiny seedlings coming up of parsnips. There's 3 rows of those. So if I could have turned the camera around, I would speak to you face to face, but I am not able to do that in this mode on the camera. So what I'm going to do is take you around to the house and show you what's going on. So here is a shot of 2 rows that we had trellised tomatoes last year. Those trellises are now in a pile over there. So if we walk around, well, let me just take you back over to here. In this garden here, we have that's a collard plant. We have collard greens and more collard greens. This plant right here is sorrel that I planted from seed last year. That's a perennial. I will eventually have some of those for sale. We have peas that got transplanted. These are going to be bush peas. Here's another sorrel plant that is going to seed right now. And then we have some baby lettuces. Another collard plant. These plants, that's a seed pod right there. They're going to go to seed. So I'll have some seeds available eventually. More lettuces. This is a Rocky Top variety. It's a mix that I get from Baker Creek that I really, really like. More collard greens, and then there's a kale plant. Let me get a little bit closer here. Here's a kale plant that is starting to flower. So that's going to have, if you notice, it's got little baby plants all up down the stem. So what I did last year was I had about 20, well no, not 20, about 7 or 8 truckloads of 1 to 2 year old horse manure brought in, and we just piled it around gardens. Like this one is around a maple tree, so this is pretty much almost full shade. It's got some sun in the morning and sun in the evening, but during the day it's mostly shade, so you can grow food in the shade. These plants I planted last spring, I planted them as seeds in February and planted them in the spring, and they overwintered here. They were, I think I put these hoops in February. So, no, it must have been late January, like maybe the middle of January. So they haven't been out, the hoops haven't been there the whole time, but the stakes went in the fall, and then I put the hoops and the plastic on to help get it through the hardest part of the winter, which is usually around January. So there's that garden. It's not huge, but we had a lot going in that garden. And then there's the tomato runs, which also had basil and kale. And on this side, you can see some of the kale is still there. I'm allowing these to grow, basically as an experiment, but I am also expecting these to give me some seeds. So I've been harvesting food off of there. So we had some for dinner last night. It's pretty tasty. So this has got the most growth on it. It's got a lot of stuff going on. And as you can see, I've picked quite a bit off of this one last night. But those are pretty tasty this time of year. They're sweeter because they've been through the cold, and they tend to produce sugar as a way of protecting themselves against the cold. Now I'm going to take you around this side of the house and show you on the way. This is our potatoes. It's the first time I've grown potatoes like this. So we'll see how they do. Everything's a test. So this is our compost bin. What I love about this is it gives the neighbors access to it. So I have been collecting leaves from my neighbors, and they just bring them over and put them right in. So this is 2 bays. These boards come off, they lift right off, and it's pretty cool. Now the back side is not finished. We just have wire mesh. This is going to get moved to the front of the yard because unfortunately we have to put new siding on our house because of the damage from the storm that we had 2 weeks ago. And on this side we have a fence here, and all along this fence last year, all the way down that fence, we had kale, and we have a little bit of kale that survived right there. I think that's the only one. And then on the other side, right here, we have something called a thimbleberry. Now I bought these as just little root twigs basically. And they went into the ground a year ago in March, and they rooted, and they did fantastically last year. They've gone, as you can see, they were only about 6 inches tall when I bought them. I had 6 of them, and they just took right off. And these will produce underground. They will shoot off little baby shoots. So we've got some growing there. Another one, that's a new one. And here. And back in there. So it's already starting to spread. So we've got a lot of little baby bushes. And even all the way up against the house right there. Now these want full shade. So if you're looking for a fruit that will grow in the shade, thimbleberry is your plant. I do plan on making these available eventually. I want to fill this in first, and then I'll be digging them up and sharing the wealth. So this right here is a comfrey plant, and I've got another one here, and a whole bunch of them all along here. Now comfrey is a plant that I will get into more detail at another time. I could talk about comfrey for a long time, but they're a very valuable plant to have in your garden, but you do need to be careful where you put them. They are an invasive plant. So this is a little 4x4. It's a raised bed, and I'm going to see if I can find what's in here. I have Jerusalem artichokes. This is a Jerusalem artichoke that's already starting to sprout, and they're all over in this bed. They're buried in there. I don't know how many I have in there. I bought 12 and put them in here, and I ended up with about probably more than 100 last fall. And this year, I think I've left, I don't know how many I left in there, probably 50, probably. And we'll see what they do. But these are going to get really super tall. They're going to be close to 9 feet tall, and they're going to have a little flower on them about the size of my hand that are going to be like almost like a oh, there's Bagheera. They're almost like a black-eyed Susan, but they're a sunflower. They're in the sunflower family. Bagheera is my outdoor kitty. So here's another compost bin that we made. This one's made out of more crude material. And almost all of the leaves in this one belong to the neighbor right over there. And I'm very happy to have them. So he has a mulcher on his leaf blower, and he picks up the leaves and brings them to my house. So there's a better shot of the raised bed for the Jerusalem artichokes, and they're pretty yummy. You can treat them like a potato. They're great for diabetics. They're not as starchy as a potato. And over here we have a ton of those are can't think of the name now that I need to know it. Hosta. Those are hosta plants. And I just learned this week that hostas are edible. I never knew that. So you always learn something new. It's a little statue that we got from a friend. So over here is what I'm calling a plant garage. By the way, if you want hostas, I've got tons of them. I will give them away. So here's what we have going on in here. Those are all leeks right there, and then these are onions, and these are a variety of, oh gosh, what do we have over here? We have radishes, and we have beets, lots of different beets, lots of different radishes, and lots of kale. So I'm not sure if all of those will go out into the ground or not. So what doesn't go in the ground is probably going to end up being given away. So if anybody lives in my area and they want plants, come see me. And here's a planter that is all about strawberries. So I started with about 3 packs of 12, and we have probably close to 150 plants there. And as you can see, more comfrey. Wherever I want to use comfrey, that's where I plant it. Over here we have another garden. There's a bird bath that was given to us by the same friend who gave us the statue. So here, these are last year's plants, greens, Swiss chard. We have lots of them. And there's tulips and hostas. I might actually have tulips that last through the season this year. if we don't get more rain or more snow. So I'm going to take you in the greenhouse so you can see what's going on there. So there's a back window into the greenhouse. That's an important ventilator. We had a lot of damage to our house from that hailstorm, and we also had some damage to our greenhouse, so our insurance company is actually going to let us replace the greenhouse plastic. So I don't know if you can see it, but there's, up at the top you can see some dimples, and there's actually a hole in the plastic. So, which for this time of year, it's not a big issue. It will be this winter. So here we are in the greenhouse. As you can see, the heat table is about empty. This is another compost bin. This is the first one I made, that we made. And I like having one in here. Gives me a place to use as a potting table. But this one does not freeze in the winter, so I can actually harvest the compost, and I usually do that in January. So here we have marigold. This particular flat got tipped over, so it's kind of a mess. And this is where I have, oh, we have some seedlings that are coming up. Now, I was just in here. These have popped up just in the last hour. The last 2 hours. Wow. So this particular plant is another kale. And I like to come and eat these. They're yummy. Eventually I'll let it flower so that I can get seeds, but I like to eat them right now. So I'm trying my hand at flowers because I need pollinators. I want seeds. So these are petunias. They're not doing so good. I need to, the pH is wrong. So I need to figure out how to adjust that. I haven't had time though. More tomatoes, peppers, lots of peppers, and more tomatoes. Half of my tomatoes are collected, are from seeds that I collected myself. And these are all, right, this particular flat here is cabbages and broccoli and bok choy. And down here I have some house plants that I really like. I had this kind of plant when I was a kid in my room, and I really like it. So back here we have some tomatoes that I need to get out in the sun, and some rosemary. And here, that little flower right there is a radish flower. And these are so yummy to eat. So if I step way back, you can see how tall my rose bush has gotten. It's all the way up to there, and I don't know how many. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I count 8 flower buds. Now that plant has not lost any leaves since last spring. It's kept all of its leaves. It's amazing. Back in here we have parsley, and I have to say it still tastes really yummy. I put some in some vegetables yesterday when I made dinner, and they were very yummy. And I harvest a leek from here, and about 3 onions. So I got onions, I got several different kinds of onions in here. This is my most interesting kind. This is an Egyptian walking onion, and it's so cool. It gets these little plants at the top, and eventually they'll get so heavy that they'll just drop to the ground and reseed. They will actually sprout and grow. And here's another one doing that. I think it's so cool. I think this is going to do the same thing. And then this is another kind of onion. This is actually going to be seeds. So if you can see, I have these kind of lights. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. I've got 2 over there, 1 here, and 1 back there. They actually keep this greenhouse from getting below freezing. When the temperature dips down into the low 30s outside, it'll stay about 40 degrees in here, which is really nice. It's been allowing me to keep my tomatoes and things outside of the heat table. So down here we have some seedlings that drop to the ground, some seeds that drop to the ground. And here we have, this is chives, and they're already starting to bloom. And the onions, and there's another lettuce right there. And this plant right here is, I showed one of these in some pictures that I posted last week. This is what it looks like when it's in bloom. It's called miner's lettuce. It's called corn salad. It's that little round patterned lettuce that's over by the sidewalk. So this is really pretty when it's in bloom, and it's in bloom right now. So down here we have some strawberries that are already promised to somebody, but these are runners that I had ended up digging up from the grass, actually. And here's the lettuce. This lettuce looks really good. There's, I don't know, maybe 10, 12, 15 plants there. But you can see they're pretty good. So that's what's going on in the greenhouse. I want to take you outside and I'll explain to you what's going on with our house. We had a hailstorm 2 weeks ago. Lasted less than 10 minutes, but it did over $30,000 worth of damage to our house. So our insurance company came out and did an evaluation, and we have to replace the roof of our house and the roof of our garage. We have to replace the siding, that back slider. What else did he say? Oh, the greenhouse plastic. And we had already planned on doing, as you can see, there's a little bit of damage there, which looks very minor. But there's a lot more damage on this side of the house. As you can see there, and there, and up there, and there, and there's just all kinds of it up higher that I can't show you. We planned already our plan for this spring was to remove this wood, and in place of that wood we were going to put up oh, I don't remember what it's called. It's not a trellis, more like a pergola here in both of these rungs to replace what was there. And we still plan on doing that, but it may have to wait until next spring. What we had planned to do was to put a front porch on our house, the entire width of our house, and 10 foot out. That was the plan. And then we were also going to put the pergola up first in the front yard, and then also in the backyard, and then put a front porch on. We just put a new roof on last November, so to have to re-roof it again is very discouraging. So all of our plans for the garden are, I'm not going to say they're put on hold, but they're certainly changed. So right now what we're doing is we're taking off the house, whatever we can take off the house now we are. We've got someone lined up to help us with siding. We're looking at putting on a new roof with a different company, and that has to get done this spring. So as far as where to put things in the garden, I'm not sure. So right now I know we're going to put tomatoes right there. So we're going to create a new garden right in the front, right in this area. So from about this point here where my feet are, all the way to where that dirt is, we're going to put dirt from there all the way to the front of the road. And we're going to create some trellises with the wood that's piled, and plant the tomatoes in the back, and then flowers in the front. And I've got a ton of bulbs that I need to plant that have been sitting in a barrel for 2 years, so I want to get those in the ground. So I don't know how much I'm going to be able to spend on the web page, on the Facebook page. I'm going to try to get to it every day, but right now the priority is getting the work on the house finished. That's probably going to take up all of spring and into summer, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to get the plants in the ground so that we can have food available for us and for whoever else might want it or need it, and bring people over to help them see what we're doing. I'd like to bring a group over as soon as this COVID-19 thing is either finished or lightened, to be able to have bigger groups or a group at all come over and take a look and what, those that want to come and see what's going on, get some ideas, ask questions. That's kind of what we're gonna, that's what I had in my head to do for the future. So we'll see what happens. Certainly we'll keep you guys all posted on what's going on with the house. Right now, the first thing what I'm working on right now is getting a plan drawn up to submit to the city so that we can pull permits to get started on the front porch, and we got to get that going before we actually do the roof. So what we're doing right now is working on getting this side of the house, of the garage, cleared out. So this is creating a problem with our foundation of our garage. As you can see, the bottom boards have pretty much rotted out. So we're trying to clear all of that dirt out so we can have this cleaned up And then this tree right here is a peach tree that one of the neighbors ate the peach, tossed the pit over the fence, and this thing has got loads of buds. I just discovered it last year. I looked up from getting out of the car a year ago, and I saw a tree that had peaches on it. It's like, wow, I didn't even know that was there. So that's my ramblings for today. Just wanted to thank everyone for joining our group, giving you a little bit of a heads up. I'm a bit tired today. I've been working on portraits for the last 2 days, and so that always drains my energy, but I just wanted to touch base with all of you. Eventually I will figure out how to get a video where I can be in it and still show you what's going on, but I haven't figured that out. I thought I could do that with this on my phone, but it doesn't give me a way to change the camera around. So anyway, another day, another time. So anyway, you guys have a great day. Bye.